Hi, I'm Neal, and I'm speaking to you from Fayetteville, Arkansas. And I was going to talk today a little bit about some pretty amazing birds. And I was trying to remember why I started this program with this, and I guess it was just astounding. And this is an American crow, which is a common bird around northwest Arkansas, but you see all that white in its wings? Well, that's because it's got a few leucistic feathers. And it's kind of an astounding bird, and that's kind of where I was going with that. But what I really wanted to talk about was red crossbills, because we've had red crossbills over the years. Just every few years, we have an invasion of red crossbills, and this is a part of a flock of red crossbills that were up at the Fayetteville Country Club. And there they are a little closer, and you can begin to see the actual cross in their bills on those birds. And this is a photo that shows the cross really well. And they use that cross to pry open cones, and then they can remove seeds from the cones. So that's why they have crossbills. So this is kind of going slow, isn't it? At any rate, the name of this program is Astounding Crossbill Irruption. And crossbills occur in all over Arkansas, where there are different kinds of coniferous trees like shortleaf pines, loblolly pines, and so forth. And we have been very lucky in northwest Arkansas to see them several times over the years. And there are actually some crossbills. I'm speaking to you in 2020, and there are actually some crossbills around this winter down by Shores Lake in the Ozark National Forest. This is about several months. You can see the time frame there, 2012 and 2013, when there were a lot of crossbills here. They were just kind of all over the place. And here they are down here getting some water. And that's an eastern bluebird down there sharing it with them. And this is up at the Fayetteville Country Club. And that's what it looks like when you're not looking for crossbills, but you're hitting golf balls. So crossbills are, there are all kinds of crossbills. So we call all the ones we see red crossbills, but there's actually 10 different kinds of red crossbills. And they're not easy to separate in the field just when you're looking at them with binoculars, but they have different calls. So look at that. This one's up on the cones. You can see the size of the birds and with the cones. And they were in this area right here quite a bit. So periodically they come into areas like ours where we normally don't see them, and supposedly it's because there's a crop failure in the cones in areas like the northern Rockies and places like that up in Canada. And then when they come south, they're looking for food. So the crossbills is an interesting evolutionary development, and it allows them to actually they poke their bill down into the between the leaves on the cone and pry it open, and then that allows them to extract a seed. So here's just a little diagram that kind of shows you how it works. And you have right-handed crosses and left-handed crosses. How about that? More entertainment when you're out there in the field looking at them. Are they right-handed crosses or are they left-handed crosses? So referring to which direction the upper mandible, the upper part of the bill is going. And here's really the fun part about crossbills is that they're called call types. And each of the call types are distinctive to crossbills that specialize on certain kinds of cones. And so you could say that they're great big billed crossbills like the type 2 ponderosa pine crossbills, but you also have ones that have small bills like these western hemlock crossbills. And I highlighted the type 2 and type 3 in red because those were the ones that we had the most of during the year, during that particular invasion year. And we saw both of these. And you could hear them. So I actually made sound recordings, sent the sound recordings off to Cornell University, and they identified these call types. And you can see the bird here that's, they're kind of digging into that cone. And basically the birds can eat a huge number of seeds, and so when you have really bad weather and they can't feed, they can actually digest this food later. So they have a special adaptation, and they can just stay out all day gathering seeds. Here's where the crossbills usually occur. You can see that green, and that dash line shows, they actually get down into our area too. And this is part of a flock, and they've been foraging. And what we found out after going up to Fayetteville Country Club a lot during that particular winter was that um, they would fly out and perch and then just kind of disappear. We didn't know where they were. This is this is based on breeding bird survey, and you can see where the population's real concentrated. So you can see where they're getting into Arkansas. They're coming like from the northern Rockies, probably a lot of them. Can you see that crossbill sticking? That's a big bill bird right there. That's a call type 2 crossbill right there. So I know you're not going to want to read all this, but we collected a lot of data to try to figure out how many birds were going up there, and kind of what was actually going on with crossbills that winter. And this kind of shows you what the data kind of looks like. And an easy place to see them was when they would go down to the edges of ponds and they were getting algae like goldfinches do, and they were also drinking. And there are the goldfinches getting algae. And here crossbills probably doing the same thing. And here they are in the water. You eat that many dry seeds, you need a lot of water. And I just mentioned this is a red cockaded woodpecker, obviously not a crossbill, but these pine woods have these specialists, birds that have learned how to use these habitats in a specialized way. And, pine warblers obviously have figured out how to find food in the pine trees. And siskins too. And these are all birds that were up in, when you'd go out looking at crossbills, you'd find birds like this. So in that particular winter, there were purple finches. Here they are. And one of the reasons we found the crossbills flying around up at the country club, we'd all of a sudden we'd hear a bunch of crossbills, and we knew or figured something was disturbing them. Well, it turned out this is who it was. This is a merlin, and it spent the winter up at the country club, and everybody went up there to see the crossbills. Also saw this merlin, and so this merlin was probably living on crossbills because they eat birds. That's what they eat, and so that's the merlin. We saw this merlin a lot. Once we figured out what was going on, we always looked for the merlin, and we could usually find it. You can see how heavy the pine crop is. And lots of different pine seeds. And there were a lot of people that went up um, that winter because it was handy and it was around Fayetteville, and you had a lot of bird watchers that were interested in crossbills. And so some of the people that went up are people that are pretty serious about photography. And I asked a few of them if I could use some of their photographs in a program about the Crossbill eruption that year. And one of those people was David Oakley. And you that know David know that his primary interest is photographing dragonflies, but it's hard to photograph dragonflies around northwest Arkansas in winter. So he said, sure, you can use my crossbill photographs and the birds. So how about that? I mean, that is a really good photograph of a crossbill. How about that? And here they are in flight. Look at that. You can see even the crosses of the bird in flight. And right down there by the algae. How about that? Nice big male red crossbill type 2. And you can actually see him prying open the combs there. Part of the flock. And there were several different people that went up there. Another one was another friend of mine. Um, that and what I was originally going to do this program for people at the Fayetteville Country Club at like one of their dinners, and that never worked out. So I really tried to get some really good photographs to try to impress them, because we were so um, thankful to them for letting us walk around on the golf course when other people were using the golf course, because they recognized and valued our interest in crossbills. So another one of the active photographers that agreed to let me show a few of her photographs is Jackie Brown, who lives in Centerton, north of Fayetteville. And there were red-breasted nuthatches that year. And there's that merlin. And a crossbill. How about that? Talking about seeing how it's done, there it is. That those crosses are going down in there between the leaves on that cone. So we had a lot of fun that winter, and we actually wound up publishing a couple of scientific papers in Arkansas Academy of Science about the crossbills of the winter. And I was really fortunate. Mitchell Pruitt had already started school in Fayetteville that winter, and he is an outstanding photographer as well. And this is actually out at Woolsey Wet Prairie in Fayetteville, but he agreed to let me use some of the photographs he got at the country club too. And this is a gorgeous photograph of a red-breasted nuthatch. And look at that, you can really see the crosses on that bird. And there were crossbills at a few other places, and gosh, I'd like to take another 30 minutes of your life and tell you all about this particular crossbill. This one was at Hobbs State Park Conservation Area Visitor Center, and I looked and looked and looked for this bird because I'd heard about it and never could see it, and it turned out it was on the back side of the feeder where I wasn't looking. But then they came out to the open platform feeders, and I saw them then. And here's a couple people came from all over the place to see these Crossbills at the country club. And the people at the country club were very nice. And this is a couple of people that are both nurses then from Siloam Springs and bird watchers. And they wanted to see the Crossbills, and by golly, they saw them. And a group came up from Little Rock and joined some of the local birders, and they saw them too. And there they are looking at them. And we always checked in at the shop, asked for permission before we went out on the yard, but they were always very nice about letting us come. And I think David Oakley donated this photograph that they displayed in there with the golf trophies. How about that? And we still have crossbills around in northwest Arkansas now, but that's the story for another time, and I thank you for watching this program.